Okay, so we are live now, and hello everybody. I'd like to say a very big thank you to Adam and Jean. So we have one other speaker who is going to join us. If you are watching today, I'd like to say thank you. Do share the link with other people. So before we start, it's very important I allow everybody to introduce themselves. And in today's topic, we want to see how much are civil engineers paid in Ghana. I heard that civil engineers are the people who are spending Ghana's money because urban people are like they can't build houses. Why they are like because civil they when they talk to the civil engineers, the prices they'll mention is not possible for them. So obviously, you people are spending the money. So over to you guys. Let's introduce ourselves and there are discussion prompts. So as the conversation is going on, if you have any questions, just leave it in the comment section and with time I'll just show it up for all of us to talk about. So, Jane, let's start. The rules of engagement will be such that if you talk, when you're done, you could just mention somebody else to continue. So, once you're done, you could just pass it over to the next person to talk. So, Jane, let's
Yeah,
talk.
right. So my name is should I add this title? My name is Engineer Jean Baptiste Kojo. I am a civil engineer at ABP Consults Limited,
Oh,
and I am a council member for the Ghana Consulting Engineers Association. I represent the FIDIC future leaders in Ghana. What else? Yeah, I am. Should I say a structural engineer? Because that's what I do in the civil field now. So I am a structural engineer at ABP. Yeah, I think that's enough about me for now. Get them.
okay. I have some questions before the conversation starts, but I'll leave Adam to finish to finish his introduction. Then we can take it from there.
Charlie. Hi guys. I'm Adam Fiam Koblavi. So I'm a civil engineer. I'm with Volleyball Construction Limited. Yeah. My title. The title is named Sister.
Okay, so Jean, when you started, you said you are engineer Jean Baptiste, but all of us we sat in the classroom with you. So how does one become that title? Because I don't think I have that title, and Eden does not
Yeah,
have that title. So please, where did you get it?
yeah.
So one more time.
In, in the words of Engineer Adams, the current GHI president, only professionals make professionals. so, so after you are done with school, you get a civil engineering degree. You need to have a minimum of 3 years work experience, like learning under an engineer. So what GHI calls it is a trainee professional engineer (TPE). So
Okay.
for a 3 year period, you have to undergo training under a certified engineer. Then after 3 years, you can now apply to sit for your professional exams. So
Okay.
you write an essay, you defend a project to a panel, and if you pass, you are moved from TPE to PE, and you can now append PE to your name and then add engineer. Yeah, you just put the Mr. away or the Mr. away you want. Yeah.
That's
So
Oh,
true.
so that's how you get the engineer title.
yes,
So you know, like
that
when we're in school, when we're writing our nicknames and we add engineer. So that was
Charlie,
which one is
Charlie,
that one?
Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. I mean, we agree. We didn't know what we're doing. Now we know what we're doing.
Okay. Thanks for opening the conversation by telling us like how one becomes an engineer. So to kickstart this conversation, like I'd like to find out from you guys why you decided to study civil engineering. So I will start. So I think in we went to the university in 2016, no? So in 20
24.
October 2016, okay. So like in 2012, like I was discussing with my parents, what would I do in the university? Like before, we knew I was going to go and do medicine, but we had this talk with some doctors, and I was like, nah, medicine is not for me. So I went back and forth, back and forth. My dad was like, you know what? I heard civil engineers are being paid a lot in Ghana, so go do civil engineers. So I was like, okay, why not? So for me, that was my story. That was how my civil career started. So, Adam, why civil engineering among so many other professions?
Okay. Actually, myself, I didn't really know much about civil engineering even before getting into it. I rather grew fond of it after I got into it. So I
But there
think
was
from after completing SHS, I mean during SHS it was more like as a science student, either medicine or engineering, right? I think that has been the general norm. So like I think civil engineer was my first choice in the engineering courses. Yeah, I was more like the technical person, so I liked, to dive into those kind of areas, physics, mathematics, those kind of so I happened to get admission into the civil engineering, and then along the line, I actually realized civil was even a better option than maybe initially I wanted to go in for, I think, telecom.
Okay.
When I got the civil engineering, after a while, I realized, I actually had more love for the civil engineering than I would have had for the telecom. So yeah.
Okay, so back to you.
When I was filling my forms for university, choosing, I didn't know what I wanted to do, honestly, Charlie. So like Adam said, science students, you either doing medicine or something engineering. So Charlie, I just choose the course and allowed WIEC to decide.
But isn't this wrong? Like we go into fields that we have literally.
It is so wrong. It is so
the
wrong.
structure,
It is
the
so
structure.
wrong, but Charlie,
It's
it is
not the
what
best.
it is.
It's not bad. It's not bad, but it's not the best.
Yeah,
I think you can do better.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll kickstart this conversation. So like as I was doing a bit of research about like how much civil engineers are paid in Ghana, I came across a website that says that the average salary. Like, I'm going to read. No, you know what? Just so that people don't think I'm lying, I'm just going to share it for all of us to see. So let's start share screen. Okay. So how much does a person? Oh no, this is for a person working in Ghana. I had one for civil engineering, but yeah, I'll find that and we can come back to that conversation. So the first question would be like for you, did you also hear of that story where it's like civil engineers are paid a lot in Ghana, or it's just my father that knew the story?
Yeah. Okay. I happen to know one civil engineer who was doing well.
Okay.
So I wasn't told he was being paid well, but looking at his lifestyle, I was like, okay, he might be doing something right.
So that means even before you started the field, like you knew somebody.
Yeah, I knew somebody who had done well for himself in civil engineering.
Adam, did you know anybody? Was this the same story as for you?
Not really, but I think the adding civil engineering as a choice was influenced by my dad,
Okay.
because he's not a civil engineer, but he has friends who are civil engineers, and he was Charlie cash day there, so look out.
Okay, so Eunice, I'm going to start from that point where you say cash day. So for you as a civil engineer currently, what was your first salary? What did you like when you entered after school? When you entered, what was like the first amount you got for the jobs you did? Just a minute, like I'm having a bit of technical difficulties with my mouse, so Eunice, I'll add you, but yeah, Adam, could you?
Can I go?
Yeah, continue.
Okay. So the question again.
Like cash day, how much was your first salary?
First salary.
Yeah.
Okay. I think entry level, when you're entering with just the degree,
Yeah.
the degree like with little experience or no experience, you are usually considered, my experience, you are usually considered as a trainee.
Okay.
And not you can be called a civil engineer, but your salary role they put you into, you are usually considered as a trainee.
Yeah.
I think with that for the training, it ranges between 800 and I think 1,002 or 1,005, depending on where you find yourself. So mine was 1,000. Yeah.
Yours was how much?
1,000 Ghana cedis.
1,002. Okay.
1,000.
And for
1,
you, Adam, 1,000. What year was that? Just to put things into context.
This should be somewhere around 2017. Yeah, after national service, right?
Yeah, after national service.
So 2017, 2018, we finished service in 2017, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was the full. So it was actually 2018. I applied in 2017, but I got a job in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about you, Adam? How was it for you?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
Jean.
I think it's the same thing. So as a trainee, you are an assistant, virtually an assistant for all the other engineers. So your salary ranges from abnormal or average, like say 1,005 to 1,007.
And how much did you get?
Yeah, and I think I got, including allowance, should be like 1,008. Yeah, 1,008, 1,009. I think 1,009. 1,000.
1,009.
Yeah,
Please, where were
1,009.
you working?
ABP.
You know, like when how did you make it to AB? Because when we were in school, like ABP, ABP. So like it was
Right.
like the creme de la creme.
I know,
So
right?
and
Yes.
is it as they say it, or it's just is it a hype or that's the reality?
I would say it's hype. They
Okay,
had their moments,
okay,
but like every business, there's a downside and there's an upside and a downturn, especially after COVID. A lot of businesses are struggling a little bit, but I wouldn't say it was hype. What I
okay,
know it does well is when like interns come after the program, they have a small party for them, and then they
okay.
give them something, they pay them something, and then for breakfast, there's tea, there's bread, there's egg. So if
For those on site as well, or only
this
the
owner,
office.
if you're not on sites there, Charlie, if you're on sites there, you're not in the office. I'm sorry,
You,
but
you,
so if like you are a civil engineering student and then you come to an office setting like that, where every morning there's somebody who brings tea and bread and egg if you want. Then when you are done, they give you something and they have a small party for you. Yeah, you think you're in heaven,
the
but you
motivation
you, you,
there.
you you don't you don't work there. So
Oh,
it's,
okay.
it's like having kids. If you're babysitting someone's child, you're able to give the child back. So
Yeah.
it's fun because you can give the child back. But if it's your own child, you can't give it back. So I think
Okay.
that's why the hype was so real because you are just there for a short time.
But were the interns paid?
Yeah, interns
Okay.
are paid. They are giving something afterwards.
Okay. So like before there was something that you mentioned about being an entry level engineer.
Yeah.
Is it immediately you come out of school, you assume to be an entry level engineer? Because
Yes.
sometimes
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
have the experience, like they were doing internships during school. Did that also
Oh,
count, like the
that's
experience?
that's that's one thing I realized. Like
That-
everything we are taught in school, all the internships we do. Okay, fine. I can't grade the internships people had, but
Yeah.
Charlie, it's a totally different world. It's a totally different ball game. So I understand why if you're out of school, you're an assistant to a trainee because Charlie, it's totally different.
No, I agree with you. I'm talking about like with regards to the pay structure. Do you
Yeah.
think you got like where you were working? Did other people
Yes.
get paid more than you, or it was like
Yes.
like
Yes.
so for
Yes.
them as entry level engineers? What made it put? What did they have for them to be paid more?
Okay, so ABP has a payment structure.
Okay,
So even though you are trainees, there are various steps to a trainee salary. So
okay,
if you were just employed or you have a certain year of experience, you are put on say step one.
okay,
But if a trainee who is like 2 years in is in there, he might be on step three.
okay,
So his salary would differ from yours. Then if you write your exam, become a professional exam, you are put on another step, which will be lower than someone who's been a professional engineer for 10 years.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'll come back to you. So Adam, your company too, did you guys also have a payment structure or like all of it doesn't matter?
I think every company always has some sort of structure.
Okay.
Are we going to like what goes into salary structure generally? Is that what we're
More, more or less like you and I, we all came out of school.
okay?
Like 2016, we were done, we did our national service, and we all came out of school. Did everybody? Because what I was thinking was maybe if during school I was doing some internships, or somebody like Atuguba, or like there were people who had experience before they entered the
Okay.
university.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So do we all get paid the same because like we just finished our degree? I don't know. That's where I'm coming from.
I think different factors will affect it.
Yeah.
Because let's say they might consider something like experience, definitely, and performance. So maybe you are old there, but you are not performing, and someone new comes and the person is performing. It would make sense to move that person higher.
No, but I'm talking about like we all enter at the same time.
Okay,
Like
but
you are going.
I think it's say there is maybe we all submit our CVs.
Yeah.
And someone like Atuba who was working or who has a wealth of work experience, if he submits his CV, I think his interview process will be different from my interview process.
Yeah.
So he
You know,
will
I think using Atuguba was too extreme. So yeah, let me say using Atuguba was too extreme. But let's just say like for maybe before like we had 4 years, so maybe every holidays I had internship. So like I finished school with like 2 years internship under my belt.
Okay.
And you didn't have any internship, and we all.
I still think we'll all be trainees.
That one.
Yeah. No, as in, on the same pay structure, on the same salary structure, on the same wage.
Why is that so?
Because, like I said, it's totally different what we.
I think generally internships are not really considered as job experience, part of job experience. It's not part of the learning process. It's like your practicals. Unless of course you played an instrumental part whilst you were with the company and probably got employment in a company after school. Those are like special cases. Okay. Generally, if you come out fresh, we are all like trainees. You get
okay.
So I can cite an example. A colleague of mine.
Yeah.
He did his national service with my company.
Yeah.
And he is really good at Civil 3D and he's really good at Civil 3D. So some things he could do, a lot of the guys couldn't do.
Yeah.
Even when he was employed, he was still employed as a TP on the minimum wage level salary. So I think once you are entry level, that's how it's going to go. Hi, Eunice.
Hi, Eunice. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
sorry, I'm having a bit of a network challenge. Hi.
Oh, okay. Hi. So before we continue, can you introduce yourself? Then we can continue this conversation.
Oh, okay.
Because everybody has done their introduction.
Yes, I'd like to apologize for being late. I had a bit of a challenge. Anyway, so my name is Eunice Bafo. I used to be known as Eunice Bona, and I'm the human resource business partner for Signum Development. Yes, that's basically all about me. So I attained a BSc in civil engineering, and this year I was able to also achieve masters in project management. So basically that's what I do. And for my company, we are a project management firm, and we are also into real estate. So aside that, we are hoping to expand the business more in other areas of engineering. Yeah. So that's it.
Okay. Nice to meet you, and thank you for agreeing to do this. So one of the things that you mentioned actually caught my attention was the fact that you were in real estate. There's just this disagreement that civil engineers don't go into real estate, or we don't have spaces in real estate. It's we build the houses and other people just take over and make the money. Can you comment on that? Do you know why that happens and how you were able to enter into the real estate space?
Okay, I would want to I think first and foremost, if you are the type that is a good business oriented, and one thing about engineering is that it doesn't end there. If you want to go into development, okay, a real estate is actually the mixture of being in a business. It has a lot of business setting. The point is that you are seeing the building as a product, and that whatever you have to do to make it look attractive, appealing, and then functional too. whoever is buying, the buyer and the seller, it matters. So one thing we see that lacks in most of our engineering adds on, I mean, for my company, is that people come in with just the raw technical knowledge, but then there's a lot of gap when it comes to the business oriented mind, and also the managerial, and then the tech, aside the technical, the soft skills and other things that comes up with a package. And anyone who starts a business definitely wants profit, definitely wants to meet their goals and objectives. So what I would say about engineers having a part to play when it comes to real estate is that I think we are also key. Aside the architects, there are other people like the mechanical engineers and the electrical engineers. But most of times for my company, you see a lot of BTs, a lot of QSs, a lot of land and real estate people, and they come in mostly and see it as a business more than just a venture, to showcase your
Okay.
technical know-how. Yeah.
So from what I understood, like if civil engineers, if you also want to make more of the building money, we have to change our mindset from seeing buildings as buildings, but more like a business, how as a commodity to be sold.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
okay, great. So the first question we discussed was like, how much did you get paid? Like, right, right after you were done with your national service, like your first pay. How much was it?
Okay. I worked with a contractor for a while, and it was just on a contract, and I quite remember the range. Okay. Do I want to be specific? I
No,
think
but
it
that
was
was
a
your first
thousand.
salary. That's not your current salary, like your
My
first
first,
salary.
yes, it was 1,003, and even with that, he would pay you off like just cash. Okay, there was no formality like pay slip, nothing like SNIT, no other. It wasn't too formal. It was like, okay, you needed a job, you're from national service, you just want to learn, so you didn't even care about the do's and don'ts. Like all you want is that you get the money. So for me, yes, I quite remember it was 1,003, but going forward, I wanted more.
Oh, okay.
I wanted more.
So for Adam and Jean, is it the same for you too? Did you have like a paper signing, or you just go to work and they just give you the money?
Oh no, no.
Oh, yeah. Mine was
We
paid.
pay to the bank, pay SNET, pay everything formal.
Along the line, I had a similar working with a contractor. That's how they were paying. They were paying me. I think he didn't pay. Okay, he was paying through the bank, but he wasn't paying like the SNET and nothing like that.
So that's how the contractors work.
No. Stamp.
Oh.
Not so.
Okay. So as the conversation progresses, like we'll talk more about like your current salary, how you move from the thousands to the bigger ones. Because I heard you guys are really making the money. So one question I like to know is, I don't know, but somebody's mic is a bit noisy. So is it possible that when you're not talking, if you could mute yourself, then like when you are assigned to talk, you just unmute yourself? Okay, thank you very much. So like before you were done with school, how much did you think you were going to be paid? Did you all think that you were going to be paid in the thousands? So like before you came, the rules of engagement is like I'll just mention, like if I pose a question to you, once you're done responding, you could mention anybody else to take over to answer that question. So I'll start with you. Like, did you think that once you were done with school, you were going to be paid like 1,000 or whatever you got paid? How much did you think you were going to be paid? And when you got paid that amount, like, how did you feel? What was the reality for you?
Okay, so for me, when I decided to do civil engineering, I wasn't really thinking of the money. I was so enthusiastic about infrastructural development. I was thinking Ghana is in a state where we need more engineers and more developers. So I wasn't really I didn't have much because I didn't know much. A lot of people who probably were doing civil engineering. It was a new thing for me, something I wanted to venture in. But what kind of made me feel I would be fine in terms of finances was that my uncle was a civil engineer at a VRA, now Great Co, and he was rich. So I felt okay, let me follow the passion. And once I knew someone who was making so much, so I would say for me, I was thinking I would have a lot of money because of how I saw my uncle living the life and he being a civil engineer and all. But I couldn't place an amount to it because time changes with time. If back then I was thinking of getting like 10 million Ghana cedi, that's the old one. Now things have changed, needs and expenses has
No, but
arisen
Eunice,
and
like
all that.
back then we were not spending 10 million. So we were still we were in this era. So please mention the amount in this era, not look in
Oh,
10 million.
for me, I would think I would prefer to be paid maybe 10,000
Your
dollars
entry
or something. That's
wait,
that
your
that's fair.
entry
For
level.
entry.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, not
Like
parents.
when you were
Oh,
done
okay.
with school, how much did you think you were going to be paid?
Yeah, that was school then. Then, like I said, comparing, I was paid 1,003, but I
Yeah.
did hear people say they were being paid 5,000 and 6,000. So I saw myself within that category, only to be
Okay.
disappointed, and then to have the 1,003.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you were thinking 5,000, 8,000 thereabouts.
Yeah, that would be cool. Like for me, that's what I thought.
Okay. So you can pick anybody who go after you then.
So, Adam, Adam should go on.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So salary expectation right out of school.
Yeah.
Or my first job. Okay, so I think when I got out of school, it was more getting a job.
Okay.
That was the starting point, getting a job first. Because Charlie, around that time, you could still hear say Charlie, Juma and all that, those kind of. So focus more on getting a job. But I mean, definitely, there was an expectation. There was an expectation, but so we had heard rumors of civil engineers chopping money and those things. So Charlie, expectation was quite high. It was quite high. I remember my first interview after national service. There's a company I did my national service with. Before the service, we ended our service. They interviewed us there to pick like some people to stay back. So, I mean, as part of the interview, you do salary negotiation, and then they ask, "So, what's your expectation?" So I done a little. I mean, I asked those who were already employed in the company. We asked a few of them, and then they gave us the range. So I think that's what we used. But they were like, "Oh, see how bad, you know, Professor Oni did the same." I mean, even when they told me that, I was a bit disappointed. I thought they were actually earning more than that. Before they explain, there are certain allowances and all those things that can make you get to that level. So,
So what were you expecting to get? So what was the amount?
I think I was expecting a little low actually. I think about 3,000. I was expecting about 3,000. And when you go to interviews and mention the 3,000, they look at you like. I mean, a lot goes into it. Sometimes we just go in for the money part, and then I mean you should consider both. You shouldn't just look at the money part. You should look at the performance as well. What are you bringing on board? You get me? So I think it also counts.
But this is a case where, like in our previous conversation, I talked about the fact that if you had experience, but you are saying that those didn't count. If you had internships.
For entry level, there, whatever experience you have is a plus. At least to even get you considered in the first place.
Okay.
Get me? And see, let's say there's 5 of you, and maybe they are willing to take 2, and you all have the same qualification and everything. So I mean, your experience will help you get the opportunity ahead of the others. I
Oh,
don't know if
okay.
that means
Yeah.
so
But
that
it doesn't influence your
your
money.
salary
Yeah.
at that point, not necessarily, except maybe you are a professional. I mean, you are just I don't know about you don't have any certification, nothing. So unless you reach Batista's level, then you can start. You can start negotiating with the 5,000s and 10,000s.
So even to
You
get
get me?
those 5,000 and 10, those 10, you have to get to Baptista's level before you can get those 5,000 and 10,000.
I would say yes and no. Sometimes where you find yourself.
Okay.
Where you find yourself. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll come back into detail. So Baptista,
Sure.
over to you.
Okay. See, I did my service with Tema Metropolitan Assembly. So I knew how much the engineers and then the other guys were earning. So finishing national service, I had a mindset that Charlie, civil engineering, they're not going to get anything from it, like from the speech. Because if
Okay.
engineers are earning what I'll call peanuts.
Okay. When you say
Oh,
peanuts, how much is peanuts? Because
oh,
we all have
they were earning like the engineer was earning like 1,500.
in 2017.
27, yeah, 2016, 2017. I'm not joking. Like
Okay.
they were earning like 1,500 and lower. Like maybe somebody goes can maybe 1,700.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
Like
So
when you say engineers, the people with the title engineers, or like
yes. So there is a municipal engineer, then there's like an assistant engineer, then they have like an architect, draftsman, then some laborers. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't. I didn't leave national service with the mindset that you are going to make money from your salary as a civil engineer. So that's advised my negotiations, if I should say.
okay.
When I go for interviews, I know what to say. You don't want to be too high and you don't want to be too low either. So yeah.
So how much were you expecting? Like based on the information you had, how much were you
Yeah.
expecting?
I remember my first interview for the job I got. They asked me, that was in 2017, 2018. They asked me how much I expected as salary. I said 1,004
Okay.
because that's what I was programmed to think. So when my
So
first
even
salary,
for you, 'cause you were even head to head with the engineers. You
exactly.
wanted what your engineers were taking.
So when my first salary came in, it was actually more than what I said. I was like, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, Charlie.
So how much did they give you, if I may ask?
That's what I said. They gave me, I think,
Is it not?
1,006.
Okay.
1,006. And then some allowances that pushed
Okay.
it up. Yeah.
Okay. So that's great. So now we want to talk about like the salary structure, how it works. So currently, like how much are you taking? And why do you think you are taking that amount? Like what do you think you have or you bring to the table for you to qualify to take that amount? So since Adam, you are smiling, like I can see, let's start with you. Please lead this part.
Charlie, please, excuse, Charlie, just give a range. I don't think we can do
I think we
specifics.
should go with the range. I think we
We,
should
we,
go
we
with
we
the
can't do
range.
specifics, Charlie.
I think we go with the range. Otherwise, my boss will crucify me. Anyway, so was it a two-part question?
Yeah, it was a two-part question. Like, how much are you
So,
currently earning, and why do you think you earn that? Like, what do you think you bring to the table for you to earn that amount of money?
okay. So with the first question, how much am I earning? I'm earning between 1,005 and 2,005.
Okay.
Okay, and then why do I think? Why do I think, or what? For the reason why, I would say, I think even before you negotiate for your salary,
Yeah.
the company already has a structure,
Okay.
down. Okay, so I think that's where it starts from. So no matter how much you negotiate, I think that would depend on the range or the whatever budgets they have for you, and then
Okay.
what you're also bringing on board. I think that also affects it a lot. So generally, I think so. From there, no, I think, and then the qualification. I'll point on that a lot. I just have I have the civil engineering degree. I'm
Okay.
yet to get my professional. Yeah, I'm yet to be a professional like Batista.
Okay. And what do you do at work?
I'm a site engineer, site engineer, site supervisor. So basically, we supervise the works on site, make sure they conform to the drawings, make sure we manage processes on sites, basically manage costs, make sure the project is on schedule, those kind of, yeah.
Okay. I'll come back to that. Okay. So you can choose whoever it is, and we can take it from there.
Okay,
Wherever you want to go.
Batista should go.
Okay, so two-part question. How much do I earn? Range. I earn between 2,000 and 5,000.
Okay. But that's a huge range, but okay.
Yeah. So you do your own interpolation. Okay, so why am I earning that? I'll say it's because I'm a professional now. So my salary jumped after I took my engineering exam and I passed. So once I became a professional, my salary jumped. So
I'm sorry, but before then, could you give us a range before you got to that jump? Because I like people to
okay.
how.
Before I'll say 1,005 and 2,000.
Okay.
Yeah. So it jumped because I passed my engineering exam and I become a professional engineer. Yeah.
And what do you do at work?
So I'm a structural engineer. I do designs of structure, buildings, anything that stands. I do structural drawings. I do project management if I have to. I do site inspections if I have to. Practically anything structures related, I do. Yeah.
Okay. So, Madam HR, over to you.
Whoa. Okay. So what I do in the salary range.
Yeah.
So I'm a human resource business partner. And like I said, the core of the business is project management and real estate. So I do for the projects, I play a function of a business partner, but then more on the technical resource we have, meaning the people. So I work with the design team, I work with the port team, I work with those executing stuff on site. So I manage all of them. So I play a managerial role for that. But then I look at performance and they being able to function on a day-to-day basis. Aside that, I support the heads of the departments as a supporting PM. That's the project management office. So on a day-to-day, we work with schedules on cost. We do a lot of planning. We don't usually go on the field because then all the parts of the project, resource, from cost to scope management, and all the other parts of the constraints of a project. So what I do is I support the heads of the various teams, and then also people manage them in terms of performance and what they are supposed to know and do. So I do a lot of trainings too as well, technical training, job specific.
We lost her. We lost Eunice
And Adam.
and Adam too. Let me see. Okay, so as we are waiting for them, we could continue.
Yeah.
Just a minute. Let me check something. So for you, Baptiste, your salary increased because you became a professional engineer. Like if somebody would like, obviously the professional engineer takes a minimum of how many years after school? 5 years, because you need to work.
Yeah.
So, but 3 is for your working. How long?
So 3 years. So after your 3 years work minimum, you can just put in the application and you should be done in a year.
Okay, so let's say
between writing the exam and facing the panel, and then the results being released, it should be done in a year.
So let's say like in 4 years, minimum of 4 years after school, you can become you can get an engineer. And like you said, you have to work under an engineer. So the person who you work under has to also be a professional engineer.
Yes. Yes, because it will show in your career report. So you'd have to write a career report stating things you've done, who your supervisors were. So you'd have to name your supervisor. Your supervisor must be an engineer in good standing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when they say good standing, what do you mean by good standing?
Pay your dues.
So it's only dues that...
It's not the dues. Like the number of CPD points, continuous professional development points, you need to accrue in a year before you can renew your license every year. So you pay your dues and you must have at least 18 CPD points for a year. Then you'd be in good standing.
Okay, that means these are also all things you have to consider when you are choosing who or where to work at. Like if they are...
Yeah. But actually, right now where we are, you don't have the luxury of choosing where you want to work at.
Exactly.
But it's not really scrutinized. Say who did you work under? That's not really scrutinized. It is advised that the person is of good repute and is in good standing. But I think if the person isn't, it's not held against you too much.
Okay. So let's see, how can one earn more? Like apart from being a chartered engineer, are there other things people could do to earn more, increase their salary, and what are some of those things people could do?
The first one is if you're working, try and get a very good company, a good sector to work in. See, like if you're a civil engineer at Greco or in the mining sector, or you're lucky to find your way in oil and gas, yes, they pay well. If not, you'll have to do a lot of side jobs.
Okay.
That is the way we are surviving in this country, if I should say. The side jobs, we call them PPs, personal projects, Charlie.
Okay.
That is the way we are surviving in this Accra. So you have to do a lot of side jobs, and it's not easy because you have to carry out your duties for your company, then you have to close and then come home and then carry out your duties for your company, which is your woman company.
Managing it with a side hustle not be easy.
Charlie, it's not easy. It's very difficult, Charlie, but you need to do it if you want to survive in our beautiful country.
Definitely.
And should those side jobs also civil related?
Yeah. So maybe somebody wants to build a house. The person doesn't want to pay a consultancy company because the markups of these companies are quite high.
Yeah.
So they just maybe come and see you. You are an engineer, you're a professional engineer. You can endorse your drawings. So it's assumed that for you to be a professional engineer, you must have some experience in what you are doing. So they come and see you, tell you, this is what I want to do. The architect brings their plans, you take the plans, you do the design, do your drawings, endorse them, and then present to the client.
Sorry, I thought it was the architects who endorse the drawings.
No, architects endorse architectural
drawings. Okay.
Engineers endorse engineering drawings.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you take side jobs so I can link you with people?
Yeah.
Adam, do you also do that?
I do. Let the gigs flow.
How much are your ranges?
You can't talk about
it. So give an example and give a range.
Oh, it comes with a BOQ and the client's specifications, what the client wants. You get me?
Yeah, I get you. So give an example. Like if at a 2-building house, how much would you charge? You people, that's a problem you have. Like when they ask, you can give
it's not straightforward.
It is never straightforward.
I understand.
You buy materials and you don't determine the price of the materials. So
I get you. I understand. I understand. What I mean is, for your service charge, let me put it, your service charge, not the material, your service charge.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. The Ministry of Works and Housing just passed. Let me not lie. Read.
Okay.
So, professional fees updates of professional fees. So a project director, the monthly rate a project director is supposed to charge is 57,192 cedis.
57,000.
Yes, a project director is supposed to charge 57,192 cedis monthly rate.
That, that's
Daily
in
rate
employment, right? I think that's in employment.
that's in employment, and if you are rendering a service to a
Okay.
client. Yeah.
Okay.
So a principal consultant, your daily rate should be 2,756 cedis. Senior consultants, 2,316 cedis. So like these are supposed to be rates that we charge. But the thing is, somebody, if a client comes to me and I tell the client these are my rates, the client is going to go and see someone else. And the
Exactly.
person will charge 500 cedis.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that is the biggest problem. That's why Adam was saying like too many things go into pricing.
No, but what I'm not talking about what others are charging. I've come to you. I want to give you somebody. What is your rate? You can give an example based on past work you've done.
Okay.
Oh,
What do you want to build? Say a
let's say
two-story residential build.
a 2-story 2-bedroom house.
To do the design and the drawings, 4K.
You don't supervise. You're just doing the drawings.
Just doing the design, doing the drawing, endorsing the drawings.
But you know they are.
Not just.
I think they are
the drawings.
draftsmen.
If you say just, it's like the drawings is just. So doing the drawings.
Doing the drawings and endorsing the drawings. Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
But you know they are draftsmen that are taking 500 or 1,000.
See, and that is
when you
you give a job to a draftsman and you come back to me to correct it. Because I've done like 10 different examples where I'd have to redesign everything because they give it to a draftsman. And you pay the draftsman and you go and pay me again.
Okay. But why would because obviously they are going, why did they go to the draftsman in the first place?
Because the draftsman is cheaper.
So you're saying the draftsmen don't know their job?
You see, draftsmen don't, they are not designing your structure based on empirical methods or formula or everything. They are designing methods based on, last year you see this is how we built it.
Experience.
So you see, that's what the Engineering Council is trying to do. The Engineering Council passed the Engineering Council's Regulation Act, LI 2410, in October 2020.
I'm a civil engineer politician.
Engineering law.
So they were like, from November 2021, if you're a practicing engineer, you must be licensed by a regulatory body, or else you'll be arrested. You may be arrested if you're found out. Okay. So if these laws are being upheld, if a draftsman does a design and the draftsman is not registered, the draftsman is not registered to do a design. The draftsman is supposed to do a design. So if someone maybe reviews the documents and then decides to take that draftsman on, that draftsman could be in jail, or anybody who's not supposed to be doing doing those drawings or doing those designs does it, the person could be jailed. So if these things are upheld, then engineers can charge these new professional rates, and then you wouldn't have a choice but to pay, because that's what everybody is charging.
And then the system can work.
Exactly.
Okay, back to this question. What's the job of a draftsman? Like, what are they supposed to do, draftsmen, in the first place?
They are supposed to do structural drawings that the engineer asks them to do. So maybe I want you to draw a beam and reinforce the beam. So the engineer will do the design and then say, okay, put two 12 bars at the top, put 12 bars at the bottom. Then a draftsman drafting is work. It's so difficult. It's so time consuming. It's so backbreaking. So the work of a draftsman is invaluable to engineering, because no matter how good I am, if I cannot tell you what to do when you go to site, everything will be in my mind, and they can't build for my mind.
Okay.
So the draftsman needs to define what the engineer, or give instructions, draw out what the engineer specifies. Engineers do that too,
Okay.
but that's basically what a draughtsman does.
So the draftsman not only does architectural drawing, but they also do structural drawing.
No, they don't do architectural drawing. Architects do architectural drawings,
So
but
they
they
do
can.
structural drawing.
Yes, they do structural drawings.
Okay. So apparently they can do the drawings.
Yeah, they can. They can. Yeah.
Okay. So Eunice, well, I will come back to this topic. Eunice, welcome back. So we just lost you. I don't know if it was a ploy not to say the salary, but we are glad
Oh,
because when it got to the point where you had to say the salary, you just went off. But yeah, we are glad to
okay.
have you back. So over to you.
Okay. So the salary ranges between sometimes I get confused when you say salary because there are so many components. Are you talking about the gross or the net or okay, so I'd
What did
say
you
the range
guys
would be
say for your
between
salary? What was it for you guys? That was what you took
maybe a
home,
net
right?
or
Adam
something.
and Jenny. That was what you took home. The amount you mentioned is the amount you take home, right? Yeah, so the amount you are taking home.
Okay, so that should be between 3,000 and 4,000. Yes,
Okay. Thanks. So
sure.
the next question was like, and I think we are the best person to talk about it because you're in the HR. Like, how can one increase their salary, and what actually goes, because she is the HR that what the HR is part of the people who decide the salary and all those things. No.
Okay, I don't do the administrative part of HR, like the
Okay.
functional bit.
Okay.
But then, like I can let you know based on some of the policies we work with.
Okay.
So there are different factors that comes into play when it comes to increase in salary.
Okay.
It's both ways, from you, the employee, and that of the company. You look at the employee's performance and the role they are playing, how it impacts to the business, and also the performance of the company in terms of targets and financial, targets. I mean, when for increase, they are due to one, if you're able to attain a particular professional growth in terms of trainings and other certifications and professional achievements that can lead to you being promoted and also lead to a salary raise. Aside that, you may achieve all these things and then it may not be one of the metrics for performance for the business. So by so doing, I mean, you may be doing so well, you may be getting a lot of certifications and trainings and other things. But if it is not part of the goal of the business, or it doesn't play a higher percentage in the role of the business, it becomes very difficult to want to promote someone like that. So then you'll be working, but then not you'll not be paid based on your full potential or whatever you are bringing on board. So yes, professional qualifications and also your performance in terms of any assessments or appraisals done. Then the third thing too has to do with if you're able to bring up ideas. Okay, you are able to bring up ideas out of the blue that is able to, catapult the company in a bigger way. That can also lead to a raise in salary because at the end of the day, the company is supposed to get an ROI from you, rate of investment. Okay, return on investment. Sorry. So most of the times when you go to the company, people automatically feel probably every year or every 2 years they are supposed to get a raise. Okay. But then you realize that they are not really adding much, or probably whatever they are adding is not really helping the company to its targets. So aside your professional certifications, your performance, and the business's performance, you should also be relevant. Whatever role you are playing, should be relevant. So you go to firms that for them engineering, okay, is the core of the business. You realize that most of the engineers in those firms are earning much. But then you can go to like a banking institution where probably real estate is also part of their goals, but then it may not be the core of the business. It is likely you would earn less because the main or the core of the business is not probably what you are doing, even though you are doing your best and you have the potential and everything, but then that is not where they are getting their profit from. So you'll be there all right as an engineer. You compare your salary to someone in another company whose core business is the engineering. Of course, because it's the core, they make more money in that area. So definitely that also rubs on you. So I don't know if I've answered all your questions. Yeah, Barbara, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Barbara, can you hear
Yeah,
me?
I think she can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so
Barbara,
I think I've answered your question. You can't hear me.
no, we
Can
can
you
hear
hear me?
you. We can hear Eunice, but we can't hear Barbara.
You can't hear me?
No, we can hear Eunice, but we can't hear Barbara.
Oh, okay. So let me just go until we get to Barbara on board. But guys, what do you also think when it comes to what causes us to have a raise in terms of salary at probably your workplace or at Barbara, are you back? I think Barbara is having a challenge. So Adam, how is it like? How do people get a raise when it comes to their work at your side?
Okay,
Adam,
I think, yeah.
or but
Can you hear me?
okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Adam.
Oh, so I think performance is a huge factor. Performance is a huge factor.
Sure.
I think when your team is able to help the company achieve their, let's say, targets or whatever, you're able to call for increase in salary and those kind of, yeah. So like you said, the return on investment. We are putting in money. We want to see that we are getting results. You can't be running the business and be running a loss. So for them to increase, for a company to be able to increase their salary, they need to feel like, they are getting something back. So performance is a really huge factor. Yeah. And I think another factor too is time, like number of years of experience. If you work with a company for a certain period of time, you get to a point where it's deemed fit to increase your salary. So I think that's also another factor.
Okay. Barbara, are you back?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Jim, you have anything to add?
Was I clear enough?
Yeah, for me, yes.
Okay, then Batista, I think.
It's what we already said. Try and get certified. Try and like you said, work hard, be productive. Make sure maybe you are punctual. You do what you're supposed to do. Like that's all I would say. Try and get certified. Make sure you are doing your job. Make sure you are doing your job. What you've been asked to do it. Deliver, and promotions will come.
Okay, so is it like do you get to be told what to do to get promoted or earn more, like when you're employed, or you have to figure it out yourself?
Okay, who does that question go
Maybe
to?
I need this. I'll start with you.
Okay, so at my end, there's a policy book where employees are taken to, during your orientation and even you being there, you are told how you can, earn when it comes to raising salary or any other bonus schemes. And for us, it's two things, and that is the basic thing, is that it's dependent on your performance and then the performance of the business. So for our side, there's a quarterly appraisal that is done for employees, and usually you are assessed on your soft skills and your hard skills, and then also the organizational policies and stuff. So based on the appraisal for the quarter, it accumulates to that for the year, and an average is strived. So for us, our policy is that when you are below 60, means you are not adding to the business. So you don't. It's based on the appraisal. You are either promoted, if you're on contract, you'll be terminated, or you go through a performance improvement plan. So once you think as an employee on your end, what helps you to know that you are likely to be promoted is one, if in terms of the appraisals you are doing well. If somebody is between 80, 90, and 100, you can't get 100, of course. So, but then it shows that consistently, whatever activity they are involved in, they are adding to the business. They are you can have people who do well one time and then they don't do well another time, and consistently it is not helping the business. But then based on the monitoring of performance, you can tell that this particular employee, based on targets and goals that have been set for them, they are able to add in terms of revenue to the business. On the part of the organization, one thing is, you can also, for the company, for our side, you'll be told that two things: the company measures its performance as well. In as much as the employee is being assessed, the company also is being performance is being monitored. So in terms of delivery and then sales, for us, for my business, so every company would have metrics by which they measure how they are doing, and then through that, based on the profit they are getting or their returns, they're able to increase. So let's say if a company is making an amount of money, and then the next year they increase by that threshold, that affects employees in general. But then if the company is not doing well, then the salary becomes the same for everybody. So for me, yes, there are policies, and one thing we most of us don't do is that anytime you join a company, you have to find out what policies they have in place when it comes to promotions, how they're able to promote you, and then based on that, you can observe and then make any request or negotiations that you want. Yes. I don't know. Is everyone around? I think
Well,
they.
I am around, but I think everyone else is gone. Okay, Adam is
Okay,
here.
Barbara is not around. So I think I'll throw it to Batista. Batista, have you
Okay,
answered
Baba.
the question already?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
Okay,
so
yeah.
you can
So,
go ahead.
what my company hammers on for people who have not been certified by their engineering, like maybe the body that regulates your practice. So if it's a surveyor, GHIS, if it's an architect, GIA, it's for trainees. You need to get certified. That is one, the sure way of getting an increase in salary. You need to get certified. Then once you are certified, then it becomes an issue of how well is the company doing. Um, if we increase salaries at that, reviewing the yearly appraisals, how long can we be able to continue to pay our staff with what we have and what we are expecting to come in, the projections we make. So I think it's mainly dependent on how well the company is doing. Because one thing my company tries to do is to project how long they can efficiently pay their staff with what they have. So if we are doing well, then they can review salaries and increase salaries and know that they can still pay those new salaries for X amount of time. So I think I would take it up to one. If you're a trainee, you have to get certified. That comes with a sure salary jump. Then once you are certified as an engineer, you have to work hard so that the company does well. And if the company does well, you feel it in your increment. Yeah. So
Okay. Is Adam around? And Barbara? I don't seem to see you guys. Okay. Yes, but I think I agree with you. Once
now Eunice is gone.
yes, that one is key. So you can be in a team and then the team is not performing. It's just like the Black Stars and those of you interested in sports, right? If you are bringing back the cup all the time and Ghana is gaining some money, of course it would. If you don't have a greedy uh, manager or something, it will definitely rub on you. So we always encourage ourselves as employees that if I think I can help you improve your performance, then whatever I can do to help you, because together, we achieve more. But then if it's I just think I want to be first all the time, everybody, when you're in a class, you always want to be first. But when you join a company, it's not about just you being first, it's about everyone being first. And then, you get more customers, more markets, and then you get more money in returns. Yes. So Barbara, you're back, right?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm here. So, Adam, over to you. Like, how do you get to like the question? I think Adam is frozen.
Okay.
So, like, I'd like to say thank you very much. Like, it's been a very interesting and eye-opening conversation for me. Um, so before we end, like, do you have any advice? Okay, so Adam has to leave, but Adam, like, say a big thank you for agreeing to do this with us. So, like, any advice for the people who are planning to enter into the field, people who are already in the field, any advice for them? And generally, when it comes, yeah, there was one last question. Does your gender play a role in how much you get paid? So, Eunice, as a female, do you think it has a role with how much you get paid? Do you think you get paid more or less, or it has no role, it has nothing to do with that?
No, I don't think being a female or male has a role to play. Um, except if you should say no, nah, I don't. I can't think of anything like that. Why?
Yeah.
But generally, for me, my CEO, he has the notion that when you place women behind a lot of managerial stuff, they are able to plan their way out. And planning, if you do 80% of planning, you've actually done the work. So he feels women are more good are good at planning and so many things, and they are more meticulous when it comes to putting a business in their hand. So, but I think it's more about input and output. What you put in is what
True, you
you
put
know.
it. Okay. But it's been a very eye-opening conversation, especially the point you made with regard. Most people want to get there. Most people are like, we are in the world where we crave certification. So I really like the point where you talked about that you can have certifications, but if those certifications are really not in line with the company goals, it's just a certificate. It has no role to play. So I think, and that's one thing I'm taking away from this conversation, that like whatever setting you're in, very important to find out the certifications that are relevant to those things. So to end the session, like, could you like a general comment, a general conclusion, or general advice to those out there?
Um. Okay, so I'll say that before Batista. One thing I was meaning to say when this topic came up, with the salary of engineers, is I would like to say that I've sat in interviews. We've interviewed people who come in for jobs and for projects, And one thing is you should know the company in which you are going to work with, you want to work with. I think in Ghana here, there's no way. I don't. We can tell that some companies are doing well by they being advertised more or they getting a lot of contracts. But it's not like there's a board somewhere where you could know the highest paying companies and stuff. But all I want to say is that do your research first. If you have the expectation of being paid more, then find a team or a business or a company that is doing well. And definitely, if you find a team like that, don't expect that it's a good team, and definitely they would want good members. So once you know the kind of team you want to join or company you want to join, you should have the potential that they are looking for. And then the second thing is that whatever you are taking in, you are bringing to the company should be the core of the business. If you want them to pay you more, and you realize your what you do should be in alignment with what the company is. Then the third thing is that two things. When you enter an interview, you are either going in as a professional with expertise and experience, or you are going in as you are entry on an entry level. Okay, so my advice to if you are on going through the entry level is don't really think about the salary. Yes, it's true you would need money, but one thing one pastor said was that I'll do anything for you once I get the experience. Once I get the experience, then I'll charge you. And now I become an asset to the company. So then you either let me go and then lose that the returns I'll bring to you, or you let me stay and then pay me what I actually expect from you. So companies that want to do well would have to negotiate and then say that, okay, I would accept you. So I would say that when you enter, just do everything possible to learn and then build experience. Once you build experience, it's very difficult for people to turn you down. And then another thing is that during interviews, I sit with other people on the panel and they are like, um, sometimes they look down graduates because they feel they don't have hands-on experience. But that shouldn't deter anyone. I think when you go in there, you should um, mention your price based on also your certifications because you it's also an investment inside. One thing with employees is you can have employees who may not have experience but they have the potential. They can do so well quickly. So even when people come in with the salaries they expect, I always don't look down on the fact that they have actually built an education. So you don't expect them to mention as low as someone who has no experience. But then the certification alone is experience in itself before the industrial exposure. Yes. And when you get into when in an interview, or even if you are still working for a particular company, don't wait for them to want to promote you. If you think you are adding a lot to the company, be bold to, send a letter to the business. It could be your general manager. Let them know that your performance, is good. You are adding a lot to the business. You are an asset to them, especially after you've proven to them that you are good. You shouldn't just leave them to decide to promote you. You can send them a negotiation, a letter to them telling them that these are your expectations. And if they can meet it, fine. If they can't to they are likely to lose an asset. And if really you are an asset, they would want to negotiate properly with you. So that's my advice. Don't be afraid to voice out if you feel your salary is not enough and you want more. Just it's a request. They can decide to turn it down, but once you know you're an asset, that is the price. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that was quite insightful. So, Baptiste, before you, there was something you said that I wanted to clarify. Who is an entry level engineer? What when they say somebody's an entry level engineer, who is classified as an entry level engineer? Did you hear me?
That's the units, right?
Anybody can answer really.
Okay, so entry level, fresh out of school, green, not any practical experience.
Because so somebody who like maybe after school they went to do their masters, are they also considered entry level engineers?
I would think so.
Okay. And Eunice, what do you think?
What I think is that there's usually a range on the experience, or what I'll call the industrial exposure. So from school, there's a range. So like from 1 to 3 years, you are considered an entry level, and that varies for every company. Okay, depending on their structure and how well they've built themselves. So within a space of 1 to 3 years of experience, you are considered an entry level. Then it increases with time. So like let's say 4 to 5 and 6, way to 10, you are more under the managerial, or what you call the managerial level, or intermediate. And then they have the other one of 10 years and above, and that is usually the senior management, and then the directive role. So usually it's more about the exposure that gives you that level of entry, or yeah, if I should say.
Okay, okay, thank you. So Baptiste, your last words, your last and final words for then we can say goodbye to this
Okay, so
conversation.
um, I think for young engineers, people coming out of school, we are doing a national service. Like whatever you do, make sure you're not wasting your time. So just make sure you are not wasting your time. That's one. Then two, it's like Uni said, money is good. Money makes the world go round. But if you are just starting out, let's learn be your motivating factor. Let learning be your driver. You should want to be good at what you are doing so that you can have some value wherever you go. And that usually doesn't come with maybe the amount of money you'd be willing to, or you think you should be getting at that stage of your life. But especially in the field of engineering, experience is everything. The more you know, the better you do. So as a young professional coming out of school, value learning, value experience, the money will come. I know that that's what they say. Learn now, the girls will come bring and what, but Charlie, it's the truth. Value learning, try and get as much experience as you can, and your experience will make money for you. Yeah, that's all I want to say.
Okay, you said something that tickled me. You said whatever you do, ensure you're not wasting your time. What do you mean by that statement?
Um, Practical example, when I was doing my national service,
Yeah.
it was an election year, so we 2016. Yeah, they voted in 2016. Yes, 2016 was an election year. So the works of the municipal assembly practically ceased. Everybody was focused on elections. But that was after the 8 years of NDC. So MPP was trying to make a big push. So like everybody was just focused on elections. So there was practically nothing going on. So I live at the Shalibochi. I was doing my service in Tema. I'll leave at Shalibochi to Tema and go and sit down, count the ceiling, and then come back home. So one time I was sitting there, I was like, nah, man, Charlie, this this is not it.
No,
What?
you leave and go and count what the ceiling.
Yeah, I just sit down and just look in the sky, bro.
Okay, like there was no work to do.
No work to do.
Okay, I thought it
No,
was an activity you
literally,
decided
nah,
to enjoy.
no,
Okay.
no. Yeah. So that's it. And then so one day I went and I decided that no, like I can't waste my time. I can't be wasting my time and my money doing this. So I just went onto Google and I just typed the best structural engineering software out there. Then I saw a few starred people had Prota and stuff on their list, and I saw robot. So I like the name robot. So I opened robot, I saw what it was, and I saw how Autodesk had this suite of AutoCAD, robots, Revit, like it was a whole ecosystem. I was okay, fine, let me give it a try. So I went on YouTube, I downloaded materials, I went onto the Autodesk page, the Autodesk forums, I took a lot of materials, and I started practicing AutoCAD and learning AutoCAD. Sorry, robots. Service ended, I'd acquired a new skill I really didn't think I would use because coming out of school, I was water supply and
Yeah, yeah.
distribution.
Because I was even about to ask, like, I
Yeah,
don't remember you into
exactly.
structural engineering. It's
Yes,
okay.
yes. So I was more of a water person. Then I went for my interview. They asked me some questions on water, black holes. That's what I was interviewing as. So Charlie, everything was fine, and I got a job. Now, after I got a job, company then was working on a big project. Then there were these weird handrails that were shaped like Adinkra symbols.
Okay.
And the structural tools they were using then didn't allow them that
Did you?
flexibility. And then I could use robots, and I could use robots really well. I could contort a lot of shapes, structure like structurally. So they just give okay, let me try my hands on it and see what I'll get. And I did it, and it came out well. I was able to analyze, I was able to get my results. And yes, that's it. I just started doing structural stuff. Like they put me under a structural engineer, started learning from the structural engineer, started doing things. And this was because I decided I was not going to waste my waste my time in TMA. And that has been one of the best decisions of my life. Because yes, I think structures is the way to go. So yeah, whatever you're doing, just do not waste your time. Make sure you're not wasting your time. Try and find value in whatever it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I like to say things, and actually, that example you said actually brought back one of the points Eunice made was like, whatever company you're in, it's important to bring out big ideas that will help the company move forward. So
Okay,
I
I
like
would
to.
like to, Barbara, quickly. I'll do that quickly. There was one employee who wanted to be promoted so bad because he was really good, and then I had an interaction with the CEO, and then this is what he said. He said the employee is good, but they would not promote him because if he is the only one doing the work, it is good. But then when he has other people like supervisors he has to work with as a team to do the work, they were not doing it. So aside you improving yourself, you also need to improve others because that is what will actually cause you to rise in a company. They wouldn't want you to be working on your own all the time, even if you know everything in the world. They would want you to start growing people under you so that they can now put you on top and say that okay, we've promoted. That's what promotion is. Promotion is you being able to do more. The scope of work increases with time. So that is all I want to say. That aside updating yourself, learning and all that, help other people, and they would see that you are really an asset to the company. Thank
Okay, thank you. This was a very insightful conversation. I would like to say thank you for agreeing to do this, and we could say goodbye and have a great Sunday. Okay.